Tesla's technology is the first time in probably 100 years that an alternative technology, an alternative powertrain technology, has successfully challenged the incumbent technology of internal combustion engines, gasoline-powered vehicles. Customers have questions. On average, it takes about 3 or 4 hours to educate a consumer about electric drivetrains. And then, of course, we want them to experience the car. All of that is something that we believe we inherently have to do ourselves. And the reason is very simple. Last year, we produced and sold 35,000 cars. This year, if we hit all our marks, we'll sell between 50 and 55,000 cars. That's worldwide production. A dealer, a single dealer in the United States is not going to be profitable simply by selling Teslas alone. They have to sell something else, but that something else is the incumbent technology of gasoline-powered vehicles. So when you're a dealer, you've now set up an inherent conflict of interest. Do you spend 3, 4, 5 hours over the course of several visits to try to sell somebody on a new technology, or do you sell the technology that customer is already familiar with? In fact, most customers, when they come into a traditional dealership, they already know what they want. They're there to discuss final price, do a test drive, and confirm everything else. So about 1.5 years ago, we had conversations with the Motor Vehicle Enforcement Division, the division of the Utah regulators that issues and regulates motor vehicle dealer licenses. Indications were preliminarily at that time we were good to go. So we went ahead and we invested. We invested over $3 million in this facility. And the reason we did that without getting a definitive license is because as part of the license application, you have to show things like you have a building, you have parking spots, you have phones, you have file banks, you have signage, you have a physical location that you are actually seeking the license. Unfortunately, 2 weeks before we were scheduled to open, the MVED, either having looked into this further or actually checking with the Attorney General, changed their tone a little bit and decided that as a manufacturer, we could not open up our own store and seek our own license. Again, this is a switch. Now, the provisions they're citing to are actually what are generically referred to as the Franchise Practices Act. That provision of the statute in state laws, and including Utah, that govern the relationship between a dealer, an independent franchisee, and its affiliated franchisor. Now, there was a very legitimate reason for these laws. You did not want, for example, a family to invest in a building, inventory, and starting to run a business, only to have the manufacturer come in, open up across the street, and basically drive them out of business. So, you know, the Smith family who opens up a Ford facility didn't have to worry about Ford, the manufacturer, opening up across the street and undercutting them. Tesla's a little different in that we have no franchise dealers, not only in the state, not only in the US, but anywhere in the world. Now, I don't want to paint all dealers with a broad brush, but the dealers as a general matter are concerned. And they're not per se concerned about Tesla, which is a small manufacturer. They're worried that others may come in and try to break down the franchise system. At the end of the day, what Tesla's trying to do is not come in and supplant dealers. We are trying to be part of the business community. We are additive to the dealer network, so that if you want to buy a car from a dealer, a BMW, a Mercedes, a Jaguar, you could still do that from your neighborhood dealer. But now you would have an additional choice. You could come in, and if you wanted to buy a Tesla, you could come into a Tesla store and buy it in-state. I think the dealers, and one of the concerns dealers have raised, is that they're concerned that Tesla is the camel's nose under the tent. Okay. That if we're allowed to do this, the established dealers, like the GMs, like the Fords, like the Chryslers, the VWs, the Toyotas, the Hondas, will be able to do that as well. That's not exactly right, because existing franchise law is still out there. Moreover, those manufacturers have signed with those dealers binding contracts. Contracts that say that they are in this relationship. By contrast, Tesla has never entered into one of those arrangements. I think there are a couple of paths, hopefully, to resolve this. Number one is to work with the administration, including the attorneys general, and to show them that under existing Utah law, if you interpret it the correct way, or what we view as the correct way, that the franchise laws were set up to govern the relationship between the franchisee and their related franchisor, their manufacturer. Since there is none here, those prohibitions, those restrictions don't apply. That's not to say we don't want to be part of the regulatory system. We absolutely do, and that's why we're seeking a license to be regulated as a dealer like any other. But it does say that the prohibition against a manufacturer being able to own a dealership should not apply to Tesla. The other path to doing this is to clarify the law. to make it clear that there is no ambiguity in the Utah statutes, that companies like Tesla, who do not use franchise dealers, are able to sell direct. And actually there was a movement earlier the last legislative session brought by Representative Kim Coleman, where she introduced a bill just to do that. It would have defined a new class of dealer that would be licensed, would be regulated, would allow someone like a Tesla to be able to use and move forward with its own unique business model. Unfortunately, there was some significant opposition both from the dealer groups and from competitors like General Motors, who did not want to see Tesla being able to operate its business as it sees fit to this bill, and as a result the bill did not move forward. Utah is a great state for Tesla. You have a highly educated consumer who not only believes in free markets but also believes in doing right by the environment. Obviously, you know, Salt Lake City with the air pollution, temperature inversion problems, you know, having electric vehicles, including Teslas here, would certainly help to overcome that. So Utah would be a great market for us. We haven't given up on Utah. We're continuing to work with the legislature. We're continuing to work with the governor's office, the attorney general. We believe Utah is a great place for Tesla and its products, and we hope that we can only, someday in the future, enter into the economic community that is Salt Lake City. If people want to learn about Tesla, unfortunately they can't come into this store right now. The best way to learn more information is to go to our website at www.teslamotors.com. They'll be able to learn about the vehicle, and frankly, from their own home computer or office computer. If they want, they can also configure and purchase their own vehicle.